सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पित मनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. Good afternoon, everyone. The hymn which I sung now, it is from Bhagavad Gita, which speaks about a few qualities which are very essential for a person who is going to face different situations in life. Examination is not an exception for the same. Before moving for the examination, before taking the examination, during the phase of preparation, we are supposed to have few qualities which are very important. The first one is santushtaha. So we should have the level of contentment, which is a very important one. Second one is yogi. So there should be balance at all levels. It might be physical level or mental level, intellectual level. So at all the levels, there should be balance, which is very important one. And there should be balance between physical, mental, intellectual levels too. Dridha Nishchayaha is the third quality, which is very important one. There should be stability. We should be very stable during this phase, which is very important one. Then manas as well as buddhi, the emotion and the intellect, both should have appropriate balance. That is basic requisite during examination preparation. So when we have these four qualities, then it will be very easy for all of us to take the examination, to face the examination, and also to manage the situation of examination. The raga bhauli in which I sung this hymn is meant to maintain the calmness of mind, which is also very important during examination. So with this background, we will move on to the subject Moulika Siddhanta Evam Ashtangravya, including Padartha Vijnana, how we are supposed to prepare for these two subjects, and how we are supposed to go ahead during the examination phase and also during vivos. Examination is a process of assessment. So we should know what this assessment is. So it is the process of collecting information or evidence of a learner's learning process and achievement over a period of time in order to improve teaching and learning process. So we are not supposed to consider that examination is meant only for learner. Certainly no. It is for teacher too. But the role of learner will be more here. So the learner should have appropriate information. Learner should learn, which is very important one, and learner should represent what he learned. So in total, the whole task is considered as assessment. But unfortunately, in education, what's happening? I think all of you can see a cartoon in the slide. I taught Stripe how to whistle. A person is telling to his friend, but his friend he is asking, I don't hear him whistling. Then the person who taught, he said, I taught him. I didn't say he learnt it. This is what happening in education. That should not happen. It is combined effort of both teacher and student, which is going to be reflected in the performance of examination. Usually, before examination, our mindset, our level will be like this. कुछ तो हुआ है, कुछ हो गया है. But during examination, what happens? सब कुछ अलग है, सब कुछ नया है. So before examination, all of us, we feel that we read something, we learned something. But when we face the examination, when we go for the examination, then we feel that everything is new. Vladimir Horowitz said the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is practice. Don't think that the performer has done some magic. Certainly no. It is practice which made him or her performer. So that's why if we practice, certainly we too can become performer. Then how we are supposed to move ahead here? There are two ways of reading, two ways of studying. One we call it as exam-based study. Second one is known as knowledge-based study. Many times what happens, we keep them separate. That's why we face certain challenges during examination. Similarly, it will be easy for us to face theory exams, but during vivos, we face certain challenges. How to handle this? Here are few points which I want to share with you. First, let us focus on the theory paper, theory exam. So usually theory exam is meant to evaluate the cognitive level of the student. It is meant to check the level of memory, and it is meant to check the creativity. So ultimately, in theory exam, these three will be checked: the level of cognition, the level of memory, and the level of creative writing. So in theory paper, we are supposed to represent our knowledge. We are supposed to recall everything, how much we memorize that we are supposed to present, and our writing should be most creative one. It's very important one. Then how to manage this effectively? So let me talk about the issue with the three phases. The first phase is pre-operation, second phase is preparation, third phase is presentation. All the three phases are very important. We cannot say one phase is less important, another phase is more important. All the three plays a major role. So it has been presented in a reverse way because presentation has to be very appropriate, and your pre-operation is going to be reflected in presentation. So that's why it has been presented in a reverse manner. So first let us try to know pre-operation stage, which is a very important one. So there are three steps here. We should know how to pick the topics in the syllabus. Then we should know concept mapping. And the last stage in this pre-operation stage is making notes. So there are three important sub-stages in pre-operation stage. One is picking the topics. The second one is concept mapping. Third one is making notes. Let us try to understand each stage one by one. How to pick the topics, that's very important one. See, for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of practice, there is nothing which is important, more important, which is less important. But for the sake of examination, we are supposed to pick a few topics which is a very important one. So many times we may not be able to pick the topics by ourselves. At that time, what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to consult our teachers or mentors. So they will guide you which topic is more important for the sake of examination. There are 3 points related with the syllabus which all of us should know. One is must to know, second one is desirable to know, third one is nice to know. I will give few examples, then you will understand how to differentiate these 3 points in the syllabus. Let us take the example of the chapter Shodhanadigana Sangraha. So in that chapter, Chardana Virechana Varga, Niruhana Varga, Shiro Virechana Gana. These points are must to know. They should be known properly. So moving on to the second one, desirable to know. In this component, Vata Pitta Kafanashaka Gana, Jivaniya Gana, Asanadi Gana, Veeratarvadi Gana are coming. The third one, nice to know. The remaining ganas are said to be nice to know. Here, it is better to take the guidance and guidelines from mentors or teachers so that it will be easy to differentiate must to know, desirable to know, and nice to know in the syllabus. I will give one more example, the concept of Pratyaksha Pramana. Here, What must be known, definition, types, and examples of Pratyaksha Pramana uh, are falling under must to know category. The second one is desirable to know category, the role of Pratyaksha Pramana in other Pramanas, and application of Pratyaksha Pramana in diseases. So this falls under desirable to know. Whereas in nice to know category, the remote demonstration of Pratyaksha Pramana in both healthy and diseased. So this we should know. It's very important pertaining to the topics. I will give one more example. We have the chapter Rasabhediya in Ashtanga Hridaya. So Rasa Utpatti Shadrasa Lakshana, they come under must know category. Shadrasa Gunakarma, they come under desirable to know category. And 63 types of rasa, they come under nice to know category. Usually 70 to 80% of the questions in the examination fall under must to know category. And 20, almost 20% of the question they fall under desirable to know category. In undergraduation, usually questions will not be asked from the category of nice to know. Sometimes 1 or 2% of the questions may fall under this nice to know category. So that's why we should differentiate, we should categorize the contents of a syllabus into must to know, desirable to know, nice to know, even though it is not there for medical field. Yeah. The second point here is question paper statistics that helps a lot in knowing these points. So this can be taken, this can be achieved through library as well as RGHS a digital repository or other reputed university digital repository. There you get question paper statistics. It's very important, based on which we can confirmly say the important questions. As you all know, there are two components in the syllabus. One is part A. It is having 1 to 15 chapters of Ashtanga there, whereas part B, it's having 16 to 30 chapters of Ashtanga there, including Moulika Siddhanta. So there are three categories in question paper, as you all know. One is long essay, second one is short essay, third one is short answer. Long essay is meant to know how much describing capacity the student is having. Short essay is meant to know how much knowledge the student is having. Short answer is meant to check how much precision the student is having. That means you should show your describing capacity while writing long essay. You should show your knowledge while writing short essay, and you should show your precision while writing short answer. Usually from part A, questions for 60 marks will be asked. Among them, uh, question carrying 10 marks, one question will be there. 7 questions carrying 5 marks. 5 questions carrying 3 marks will be there. Similarly, in part B, questions carrying 40 marks will be there. One question carrying 10 marks and 3 questions carrying 5 marks and 5 questions carrying 3 marks. So this is how the questioning pattern in Ashtanga Hridaya is given in RGHS. So these are the commonly asked, repeatedly asked questions, chapters in Ashtanga Hridaya. That is Nasya, Vamana Virechana, Basti, Svedadhyaya, Snehadhyaya, concept of Chikitsa Chatushpada, Doshopakramaniyam, the description of Dosha Vridhikshaya Lakshana, and Roganatpadaniyam Adhyayam. So these subjects are most likely asked in the examination, and Till today, maximum questions were asked in these subjects. So here I have made a chart in which there's points which are repeatedly asked in the examination, like the concept of Chatushpada and Sadhya Sadhyata in first chapter, the concept of Udvartana, Abhyanga, Vyayama, Anjana, Dantadhavana in second chapter, concept of Kala Vibhaga, Hemanta, Sharat, Vasanta Rutucharya in third chapter, concept of Dharaniya Vega in fourth chapter, concept of Jalavarga, Tailavarga that has been asked twice, and concept of Kshiravarga and Mamsavarga. And in the seventh chapter, the concept of Viruddhahara and Vishana Lakshana and Nidra. In eighth chapter, the concept of Alasaka and Visuchika. This was asked for 3 times, and the concept of Ajirna and Anupana. In the ninth chapter, the concept of Virya, Vipaka, Prabhava, and the description of Parthiva Dravya. In 10th chapter, the concept of Amla Rasa. In 11th chapter, the description of Ojas has been asked for 3 times, and the description of Ashriya Ashrayi Bhava. In 12th chapter, Panchavidhavata, Panchavidhapitta, the relativity between Rutu and Dosha, and the concept of Rogamarga. In 13th chapter, the concept of Vatasyopakrama, Kapasyopakrama, and Aushadhi Sevana Kala will be asked repeatedly. In 14th chapter, the concept of Vividhopakrama. In 16th chapter, Snehana Ayogya as well as Pravicharana Sneha. In 18th chapter, Vamana Samyak Lakshana, Hina Lakshana, Atiyoga Lakshana, and Payadikrama. In 19th chapter, Basti Yogya and Ayogya. In 20th chapter, Nasya Bheda. 21st chapter, Dhumapana Vidhi. In 22nd chapter, the concept of Murdhni Taila or Murdha Taila. In 24th chapter, Tarpana. In 26th chapter, the concept of Jalauka. In 28th chapter, the concept of Shalyaharana. In 29th and 30th chapter, the concept of Akshara. In Moulika Siddhanta, concept of Tantra Yukti, Tantra Dosha, Tantra Guna, Utpatti. So these syllabus points were asked repeatedly in the examination. Similarly, the concept of Roga Pariksha, Doshya, Kostha, concept of Snana, Rutu Sandhi, Dharaniya Vega, Ghrita Trijata, Chaturjata, Vilepi, Saindhava, Vishadata Lakshana, Alasaka, Vipaka, Dashavidha Pariksha, Ama, Langhana, types of Langhana, Chardana Guna, Tarpana, Matravasti, Uttarabasti, Brahmananasya and Nasya Bheda, Dhumapana, benefits of Dhumapana, Kavala Gandusha, Pratisarana, Ashchotana, Anjana, Anuyantra, Savisha Jalauka, Raktamokshana Bheda, Shuddha Rakta Lakshana, Shalyagati, Kalpana, Ashtaprakriti, Tachilya. So these are all the points, these are all the syllabus points which are asked repeatedly in the paper of Ashtanga Hridaya. So whenever you are preparing for the examination, always try to ask the achievers. They will give you guidelines. Through them, you will get inspiration, and try to allocate marks for each syllabus point and put stars so that it will be easy for you to give importance very appropriately. So thus, in how to pick topics, we discussed about these points. Let me repeat, consult your lecturers or mentors, go through question paper statistics, either in library or different digital university digital repositories. Always ask achievers and give score for them so that it will be easy for you to pick the topics. So now we will move on to the second subheading in pre-operation, that is concept mapping. So how to map the concept? This is very important one. For example, you take one particular subject. First, you glance that particular subject, which is very important one. Glance the topic. Glancing is very important one. Then you should know how much the information is required, how much information is not required. We will come to know about that later. So you should have this judgment, which is very important one, because a question will be asked either for 5 marks or for 10 marks or for 3 or 2 marks, but you have the information of 30 pages, then you should know how much information is required and has to be reproduced. So that is your skill which you are supposed to develop. Then you should categorize under different headings. The particular subject should be categorized very appropriately under different headings, which is very important one. Then you should move ahead to prepare the concept map. I will show the example, then you will understand. For example, the concept of a sadvritta, which has been mentioned. So usually it is going to be asked for 5 marks or 10 marks. So it should be marked first. Stars should be put, which is very important one. Then glancing should be done first. Usually we get the description in 3 to 4 pages, and 29 shlokas are contributed for the description of sadvritta. I'm not talking about the practicality. All the informations are having practical value, but while writing in the examination, among this much of information, you or we can produce 30% of it, and 70% of it cannot be written in the examination. So, in 30% of information, we are supposed to merge the remaining 70% of information. So, we should know that the skill, which is very important one, that can be achieved through categorization. How to categorize? I have given example here. You can categorize the concept of sadvritta into kaya, vak, manas, concept of food, sadvritta related with philosophical aspect, ethical aspect, sadvritta related to hygiene, sadvritta related with rituals, etc. So this is one example I have given. Similar way of categorization can be followed. So here, how concept mapping has to be done can be done. One example I have mentioned here, like ahara, vihara, achara. Under ahara, do's and don'ts. Under vihara, do's and don'ts. Under achara, once again, sub categorization has been done, and what will be the outcome that has been mentioned in the picture form. So if you map the subject like this, then it will be easy for you to remember during the examination. It will be easy for you to present the concept very appropriately. So we discussed about picking up topics, and second we discussed about concept mapping. Now we will move on to the third step, how to make notes out of the subject. So first point to be known here is fix the quantum of answer, which is very important one. So if a particular question is asked for 15 marks, minimum of 4 to 5 pages of information should be provided. If the question is asked for 5 marks, then 1.5 to 2 pages of information should be provided. If it is asked for 2 marks, then 1 page of information should be provided. So this is the quantum of answer we are supposed to write in the examination. How the structure of answer should be. So in answer, these three components should be there: introduction, body, and conclusion. So this is the basic framework to write the answer. But depending on the marks, like if the question is carrying 15 marks, following subheading should be there. There should be introduction, there should be reference, the subject should be defined, and subject proper should be narrated in point-wise manner. Few smart arts should be used, and if you know, then make use of cross references, and finally conclusion should be written. So if the question is asked for 5 marks, then there should be reference, standard reference, and there should be definition of the subject, then subject proper information should be given, and then smart arts should be used, and finally there should be conclusion. If the question is asked for 2 marks, then the subject should be defined and directly subject proper should be explained. So depending on the mark, the style of answer should be changed, which is very important one. While writing in the examination, we are having a challenge. Alone English cannot be used. We should make use of Ingsan language because we should write technical terms in Sanskrit. We should write the description in English. That's why it is Ingsan language. So we should know both the languages, and we should make use of both, which is very important one. And whenever you come across with the technical terms, make use of Devanagari script, which is very important one. For example, while writing dosha, write it in Sanskrit. While writing dhatu, write it in Sanskrit. It is very important one. And while preparing the notes, give importance for point-wise narration, which is very important one. Never try to write in para-wise manner because it will be not attracting the evaluator. So that's why always write, always try to follow point-wise manner narration. Same style you are supposed to follow while writing the notes. Important shlokas should be written with appropriate content, which is very important one. And always try to make attractive notes. It is your notes. You are going to read that notes and you are going to reproduce the same in the examination. So that's why your notes should be most attractive one, which is very important one. Here I'm giving one example how to prepare notes so that it will be attractive. Don't expect others to write an attractive notes for you. Always you are supposed to write the attractive notes. It's very important one. It is your notes. You have to write it attractively. Other people, they cannot prepare attractive notes for you because it is not their notes. It's your notes. That's why you have to prepare attractive notes. So supportive materials should be there with you prior to the examination, which is very important one. Have a small booklet related with shloka, either in the shloka book form or print format, and have numerical notes. There are few numbers which you are supposed to know. There are few informations which you are supposed to buy. So have a numerical notes, which is very important one. Prepare separate notes related with the typologies. When we come across with different types, for that you have separate notes, which is very important one. And have homologous notes, having informations having similarity. So prepare these supportive materials, which is very important one. Few examples I have mentioned here, types of vata, 5 types of pitta, 5 like that. So that is typology. So prepare the notes like that. It will be very important one, and it is very essential for you. So this is how you can have different varieties of notes. Thus, we discussed about 3 sub-stages in pre-operation. One is picking the topics. Second one is concept mapping. Third one is making notes. With this, we will move on to the second stage, that is preparation. Preparation stage itself is having 3 sub-stages. One is studying, second one is writing, third one is sharing. So how to study, how to write, how to share. These points we should know very appropriately. Let us try to understand these stages one by one. First, studying. You are reading, if it is for 5 times, you should tell it 5 times. It's very important. When many times we focus only on reading, adhyayana, that itself is not sufficient. That's why in Charaka Samhita, along with adhyayana, adhyapana has been mentioned. You should tell it. That is very important one. Then skimming. Whenever time permits you, you just try to memorize the important points. That is very important one. And always try to put question for yourself and try to give answer. This is the best way of studying, which is very important one. Read, tell, memorize, and put question and answer. You should put question for yourself and you should put answer. So if you do this, by that your studying will be more effective. And we have some other techniques to study. One, we call it as acronyms. Here what we do, we will make some mnemonics based on which we can, it will be easy for us to remember the details. um, Types of Sveda: Tapa, Upanaha, Ushma, Drava. So here what I did, T is indicating Tapa, U is representing Upanaha, U is representing Ushma, D is representing Drava. So two, the word has been made. So if we do like this, then it will be easy for us to remember the types of Sveda. So acrostics is one more method through which we can memorize or we can study the subjects very properly. So here I framed one sentence: Pradhan Mantri Darwaza Khuleto Vaidya Akash Marthe The. Here, what it is telling, the first letter of every word, it is indicating one type of the type of langhana. Pachana, Deepina, Pradhan Mantri P, Pachana, Darwaza D, Pachana, Deepana, Khule, Kshut. So like that, every letter of the word, it is indicating one type of langhana. So similarly, you can have acrostics for Shadupakrama. We know the concept of Snehana, Svedana, Stambhana, Brahmana. For that, Samskrita, Samhita, Siddhanta, Bangalore. See what we are doing. We are uh, trying to remember the technical terms with the help of some simple terminologies. Similarly, the types of Dhumapana can be remembered with the help of acrostic State Bank of South, Shamana, Brahmana, as well as Shodhana. So, like this, try to have acrostics. Please note one point here. Don't write acrostic itself in the examination. So you are supposed to write the technical terms, which is very important one. So if you write a State Bank of South as types of Dhumapana in the examination, you will not get even a single mark. Okay, so this acrostic helps you to remember the technical information. So that is very important one. So this is one point which we are supposed to remember always. The third point to be kept in mind while studying is number technique. For example, Pratimarsha, it is having two bindu. So try to remember these numbers. Number technique helps you a lot. The fourth one is something interesting. We call it as replacing the terms. Replace the terms. So I have given few examples here. We know Dashavidha Papa Karma. Okay. Instead of that, make use of the term Dashavidha Sadvritta so that it will be easy for you to remember. Similarly, Parisheka. So you replace the word with Abhisheka. So we Abhisheka is the common term we use. So immediately it will be easy for us to remember Parisheka. So for Matra Basti, instead of Matra Basti, you replace the term like Alpa Matra Basti. So Matra Basti is meant to give Sneha Basti in Alpa Matra. So if you add adjective to Matra Basti itself, then it will be easy for you to remember the concept as a whole. So this is what we call it as replace the terms. So to remember some concepts explained in Ayurveda, make use of this technology, then it will be easy for you to write in the examination. And you can make use of imaging techniques, which is very important one. This will be very helpful, especially during especially remembering rutucharya for hemanta shishira, like this. Make use of some pictures through which it will be easy for you to remember. Similarly, while doing while writing different karmas mentioned in 15, 16, 17, 18 chapters like Mamana Virechana, Nasya, Dhumapana, Anjana, Kavala, Gandusha, for those procedures, try to picturize them, then it will be easy for you to remember the information. The next common challenge we all come across with in the subject of Ashtangradhya is Bahating the Shloka. How to Bahat the Shloka? This is a very challenging point which I want to share with you. Always do it by heart. What we do Bahating mechanically. The word itself is telling you do it by heart, automatically it will come to your mind, it will come to your intellect. But unfortunately, it is becoming mechanical. So if you do it mechanically, you will not be able to read it or you will not be able to understand it. So that's why do it by heart, which is very important one. The second point is listen. Try to listen. Record the shloka very. You recite the shloka, record it, and try to listen repeatedly, through which it will be easy for you to bahat the shloka. Many times, what we do, we bahat the shloka. We try to bahat the shloka without knowing the meaning. So that will be of no use. Always, you should try to bahat the shloka after knowing the meaning. So if you don't know the meaning, then it will be of no use. Next is know the speciality. Each shloka is carrying its own speciality that you should know. Then it will be easy for you to by heart. And this point is very important. When put some tune, then it will be very easy for you to by heart. That's what I did in the beginning. So choose some attractive tune and put that tune to the shloka. Then it will be easy for you to by heart the shloka. And spaced repetition, that's very important one. You should give pause in between and it should be repeated. When you do this, then by hitting the shloka will be very easy for you. Then apply the same shloka in the life. This is very important one. Then remembering by hitting the shloka will be very easy for you. We bahat brahmi muhurte uttishtet swastho raksharthamayushaha, and we wake up at 10 o'clock. Then it is not possible for us to know the weightage, know the value of shloka. So it has to be applied in the life, which is very important one. And try to encode it, try to consolidate, try to retrieve. Always it has to be done. Then it will be easy for us to behead the shloka. So we come to know how to study. Now we will try to know how to write. Always plan time to write. In the examination, you should plan very appropriately to write. This is very important one. Preferably, 1 minute should be spared to write the answer for 1 mark. This is the standard one which you have to specify, because there will be there will be thinking which is required in the examination. There will be revaluation which is required in the examination. That's why the standard quantum to be fixed should be 1 minute per 1 mark. So this plan of time should be done. It is very important one. And before starting answer for a particular question, you should think, which is very important one. Without thinking, if you start writing, it will be of no use. Always you should think before you write. That's what I told here. This technique you can learn by 1 minute paper. So you choose any one topic, try to write it for 1 minute completely. Then it will be easy for you to implement the same later. This I already mentioned. Once again, I'm stressing, always try to write technical terms in Sanskrit only, and try to solve the question papers of previous years, and you should get it assessed by your teachers or mentors. This is very important one. And then repeatedly you should write and you should get the feedback. Then it will be easy to write in the examination. Don't neglect these points. You have to do this. Then only it will be easy for you to write in the examination. So make use of different shapes while writing in the examination. That will add up extra value for your answers. So you should make use of shapes very appropriately, which is very important one. So we come to know how to study, we come to know how to read, and the third important point is the sharing. This has to be done, otherwise it will not be easy for you to be successful learner. So you should discuss the subject with your friends and teachers. That is very important one. Then you should do this because you are supposed to face the viva. You should know this. Talk show panel, it should be done, and a TED talk you are supposed to do. TED talk means technology, entertainment, and design. So this is the common one what we come across with media these days. So make use of these styles to share your knowledge. Then you can present very well in the examination. As I already mentioned, you should teach. Then it will be easy for you to face the examination, and share your knowledge with teachers. That's also very important one. So thus, in the preparation stage, we come to know about studying, we come to know about writing, we come to know about sharing. So now we will move on to the third important phase, that is presentation. So commonly we come across with two types of questions in the examination. One we call it as open-ended, second one is we call it as close-ended. For example, if the word only snana is given, then it is open-ended. So if benefits of snana is given, then it is closed-ended. So if you get closed-ended questions in the examination, then it will be very easy for you to score. But if you get open-ended questions, then you should be very focused. Then you should be very precise while writing the answer. I have given few more examples for open-ended as well as closed-ended questions here, just for your knowledge. Coming to the common presentation styles to be incorporated and common mistakes whatever we commit in the examination. Whenever you are writing shloka, write shloka completely, which is very important one. So it should attract properly, otherwise it will not have any value. I am showing one answer here. Nidrayattam sukham dukkham pustihi karshyam balabalam. So the shloka has been written, but it is not catching the valuator. So that should not happen. Shloka should be written in bold manner, then only it will attract the valuator. And many times we do this striking of the answers. So it should not be done in a ugly manner. See here, do you think it attracts the examiner? Certainly, it creates a negative image of you on the examiner. So it should not be straight like this. You should just put one single line so that the mistake cannot be glorified. So here also striking off has been done in haphazardly, which reduces the value of the answer. So this should not be done in the examination, which is very important one. So one more example here also, the same thing has been done. Striking off has been done repeatedly, which is totally reducing the value of the answer. Second point to be remembered while presenting the answer is answer size. So you should, I mentioned it earlier also, how much answer should be there for long essay, short essay and short answer. So quantum should be known. So here the concept of Ashraya, Shri, Bhava has been given. So the quantum of answer which has been given is very minimum. So this should not happen. So we should know the answer size and that has to be presented properly. Don't try to give irrelevant answer. This is a very important point to be noted. See, Langhana Sneha word has been used. There is no word called as Langhana Sneha at all. So if such type of word has been used, then it shows the knowledge what you have. So that's why never try to use irrelevant term. So similarly, the description of Matra Basti written here, it is 1/4 of the Anuvasana Basti, something it has been given which is very irrelevant. So that type of mistake should not be done. And spacing in between the answer is very important when many times we neglect this one. So always we try to give proper spacing while writing the answer. See here, in this answer, the spacing has not at all been done very appropriately. Don't commit this type of mistake. So you should space very appropriately in between the answers. Otherwise, the answer here also you can see it has been written in the form of para, so which is not going to attract the evaluators at all. So you should give proper space while writing the answer. Here also, even though the information is there, but the spacing has not been done very appropriately. So that's why always try to space very appropriately. Many times we commit spelling mistakes, so the spelling mistake should not be there. See here, asti, because as I already mentioned, we are using inks and language. That's why we should be very particular while writing the answer. If we commit such type of mistakes, then it will be very problematic. Don't do spelling mistakes, which is very important, and I have marked it here. Similarly, dasha vidha pariksha. See the word dasha, that is an error which has been done. It should not be there. Similarly, here the abrahmacharya word, which has to be written very appropriately, that has not been written properly. Here are the few examples related with the spelling errors which should not be done in the examination. The concept of dhumapana. So instead of dhumapana, it is dhumapana which has been written. So such type of mistake should not be there. Instead of anutaila, here it is anutaila has been written. So you should avoid spelling mistake, which is a very important one. Uh, and many times we make use of some contemporary terminologies irrelevantly that should not be done. For example, asthma, throat infection, something of that kind we write many times. That should not be done. See here also, like the cancer, AIDS, HIV, asthma. So for contraindication of some procedures, these terms have been used, which should not be done. So while talking about the karma of amlarasa, process of amlarasa, it has been used like minerals and vitamins. So such type of description should not be given. And this is commonly done by the students understanding the question in a wrong way. Please don't do this. Sadvrutta is going to be asked instead of Sadvrutta. The student perceives it as a Shadrutu and writes about Shadrutu. So automatically you will lose the marks. And we try to picturize the answer, but we won't give the description at all. Then the person will not be able to understand that at all. For example, here a picture has been written, but it is not at all communicating any information. Drawing such picture will become useless and meaningless. So such mistake should not be done. Similarly, here the concept of ashraya and ashraya. Some picture has been written, but no description at all, which is not communicating the concept properly. Many times we make use of flying sentences and words in the examination. We are not supposed to do that. So here, life without any tension while explaining the concept of a brahmacharya, we are using some flying sentences. Such sentences should not be used. Here, sex is part and parcel of life of an individual. So this is a flying sentence which has been mentioned. So such a sentence should not be used. Here also, while talking about the description of particular rutu, it has been mentioned that all animals and birds will become happy. So this is a flying sentence which is not at all carrying any weightage. Such sentences should not be used. Similarly, here, Varsha Rutu makes all living kind happy. So this is also meaningless sentence or flying sentence. So such sentences should not be used. Sometimes we write our own new concepts. So such concepts will not be accepted. For example, Sulabha Sadhya Vyadhi, it is Sukha Sadhya Vyadhi, which has been mentioned. So if you use your own term like your own new term like Sulabha Sadhya, that is not accepted. Don't use such new terms while writing the examination. Similarly, for Kalpana, Kalpana means imagination. So our own new terminology the student is introducing. Such mistake should not be done. Sometimes some misconcepts will be written, so that should not be done. Like Sadvrutta includes Utthana, Dantadhavana, Gandusha. So you are not supposed to write misconcepts in the examination. So while writing about the concept of Matra Basti, so some misconcept has been produced here. Similarly, uh, while talking about Dvividha Upakrama, Vata Upakrama, Pitta Upakrama, Kapha Upakrama has been mentioned. So the concept of Dvividha Upakrama is entirely different. So the student has been misconceptualized the subject. So that should not be presented in the examination. So as I already mentioned, we should know how much quantity of answer has to be given. So if you write a very narrow answer, then it is not accepted. Of course, Murdhi Taila is of four types. If you write only this much, it is representing very narrow form through which it will not be easy for you to score. Similarly, for Tantra Dosha, very narrow answer has been mentioned. So concept of Ashraya, Ashtrayi has been mentioned in a very brief manner for which an evaluator cannot give any marks. So here I have given a few examples for the same, few illustrations. Try to avoid this, which is a very important one. And you are supposed to highlight some informations while writing the answer. You know there are some important points. You want to get the attention of examiner for that particular point. Then you should highlight the answer, which is very important. For example, if you see this answer, even though answer seems to be relevant, but the important point has not been highlighted, automatically what happens? The answer will not catch the examiner. And be very careful while writing the examination. While writing in the examination, some terms we are using in a wrong way that should not be done here in the examination. See here, person should follow the Shavidha Papa Karma, isn't it? So here much more precaution has to be taken. You are committing a blunder here. So by which you are going to lose marks completely. So such type of blunder should not be done in the examination. So blunder is not accepted at all. And you are not supposed to give instructions to the evaluators. Many times we do this. See here, the direction has been given. So you are instructing the examiner so that you are not supposed to do. So commonly we present this, that is lack of presentation will be there. Many times information will be there in your answer, but if presentation is not proper, then there will not be weightage for your answer. Don't do any rough work in the answer book itself. If you at all, if you have any uh, rough work to be done, at the end somewhere you do that and just strike it out. So you can see here some rough work has been done at the top of the answer book. So you are not supposed to do that. And don't introduce the subject too much. Many times what we do, instead of answer, we go on writing the introduction and we won't touch the answer proper at all. So that should not be done. So here the concept of Vega has been explained elaborately. Introduction itself is having elaboration, but subject proper has not at all been touched. So such type of mistake should not be done. And many times what we do, roaming around the bush. So continuously we go on telling the subject, but there will not be subject at all. So that should not be there. See, concept of Basti. Basti is one important upakrama. Basti is very important one. It is having so many types. It is explained Bhakti something of that kind. Continuously, we are telling some information, but that the information is not talking about particular subject at all. Your answer should not cause murcha to the person, that is unconsciousness to the evaluator. Many times it will happen. Please note this. Instead of Purusha term has been used, and now all irrelevant answer has been mentioned. See here, the student is supposed to write about Purisha. Instead of that, the student has written for Purusha. So here Purusha is Pushakrit has been mentioned. So he was supposed to write about Purisha. Instead of that, the student has written Purusha. Such type of blunders should not be done. So here Vyavaya, same thing. We commit such mistakes which we are not supposed to do. So that's till now. We come to know about pre-operation, preparation, and presentation followed while writing the answer in the examination, especially related with the subject Astangradaya and Padartha Vijnana. Moving on to the next point, that is preparation for Vivos. So there are three components in the practical examination or Vivos. One is the self, the student himself or the learner himself. Second one is the expert who is taking the examination, and the third one is the association, the conversation between the two. So these three should have excellent qualities, and these three should get associated properly. Then only it will become productive, and the student will be able to score well. Student will be able to get through in the Vivos. The student should prepare properly, and the expert should pose the question very properly, and there should be proper association between self, that is the student, and expert. Then how to prepare for Vivos, or what are the points, what are the tips we are supposed to know? Let me present this point under 10 G's so that it will be easy for you to remember. Before going for practical examination, before going for Vivos, give importance for your appearance. The dressing sense, especially during examination, is very important. And when you are going for practical examination, give importance for your dress. That is very important one. It should be clean. It should be well maintained, and it should be worked properly, which is very important one. The second one is gesture and greet. When you enter the practical hall, when you enter for Vivos, once you enter, always you should wish. This is very important one. You have to wish. Many times the students they neglect this. It might be because of tension, it might be because of intention. So commonly the students they will do that, but that should not be done. So try to greet the examiner very appropriately, which is very important one. And your gesture is very important one. Don't show your attention. Don't show your over confidence. Don't show if you have arrogance. This is very important one. Your gesture should be very appropriate one, and it doesn't mean that you should show too much of obedience. Need not necessary. So your gesture should be confident one, and your gesture should be pleasing one, which is very important one. And the third point is give and take. Always try to answer for the question asked by the examiner. For example, examiner is asking about what is nasya. So if you say nasya is of three types, it is not the appropriate answer for the question asked by the examiner. So it should not happen. You should focus on this. And while answering, you should be very gentle. This is very important when many times we neglect this. While answering, we should be very gentle, and we should show the gentleness. That's very important one. And when the examiner is putting question, try to grasp the question very properly. That's what I mentioned earlier also. Many times we fail to grasp the question. So if you are not getting the question what the examiner is asking, you request him to repeat the question and try to grasp the question very appropriately. The next point to be known is grab and grip. This is very important. See, commonly what happens, examiner is having, usually the examiners are having their own style. They put question in their own style. First, you try to pick the style of the examiner, then it will be easy for you to answer. This is the intellectual part which you are supposed to know. Try to know what the examiner is expecting, try to know in which the examiner is expert, and try to give answer in that one and to hold it very properly. Grip. That's what I am mentioning here. You should grip that point very appropriately and you should try to give answer properly. And be generous while in the examination throughout the conversation, whatever it might be. You may not be able to answer for some questions, whatever it might be, but be generous throughout the conversation, which is very important one. And grandiose and give. So the way you are answering, it should be dignified one. That is very important one. Many times we won't give importance for this one at all. It should not have it should not be there. So you should have that dignified approach in your answering, which is very important one. And while answering, try to give answer gradually, systematically, slowly. There is no any hurry at all. And you should know the goal. Your answer should be goal oriented, which is very important one. And always try to answer with grace. That is very important one. Many times we neglect this graceful approach. So always we are supposed to follow this. This is very important. So if you follow these principles in the Bible, then it will be very easy for you to answer during the Vivo's examination. So if you follow these techniques while writing in the examination and while answering in Viva, certainly success will be yours. Wish you good luck. Wishing you all the very best for your exams, dear students. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
So let us begin our session. Sanskrit is the most ancient language. The script of Sanskrit is in Devinagara, which is similar to Marathi as well as Hindi languages. One can convey the matters in least possible words. So it is the beauty of Sanskrit language. Most important thing is almost all the Ayurveda classical texts are written in Sanskrit language. So hence to decode the same, Sanskrit is the key. So Sanskrit is the key to Ayurveda. So let us see what all topics revolving around the term Sanskrit when you hear it. There you can see Sandhi, Samasa, Subhashitas, Panchatantra, Garbha Vyakaranam, Vaidyakiya Subhashitas, Vibhakyartaha. So the syllabus is divided as part A and part B. So in part A, all the grammar parts, and in part B, we can see Subhashita Sahitya, Adhyayana Granthadyayana Krama, and Panchatantra. So topics here you must know and will be helpful for your further studies in Ayurveda, especially the grammar parts. So next question that comes to your mind is how to appear Sanskrit exam. The key points to remember, first one is preparation. So well preparation, proper preparation is always very important. Means that leads us to the way of success. So proper preparation is always very, very important. You will be knowing all the answers, but how to present in the exam, that is very, very important. And also proper heading, points, and examples. Next, that is handwriting. As already told by the speakers in the other sessions, handwriting is very, very important. And also, especially in Sanskrit, the sutras or the shlokas, writing the shlokas is also very important. So before going to the presentation techniques, it is necessary to understand the usual question pattern we have. So question pattern, a long essay, short answers, and short note. So long essay for 10 marks, short essay that will be 5 marks, and short notes and short answers will be 3 marks. So these are the normal patterns or categories we can see. And in case of Sanskrit, we do have a lot of repeated questions, which is an advantage during the exam preparation when compared to other subjects. So study and answer for the last 5-year question papers. If you see the previous 5 years question papers, you will be confident to write Sanskrit exam. How to study? Make points, repeatedly chant the shlokas, adhyayana and manana. And also early morning study. Start studying in the early morning, especially the shlokas. As said in Ayurveda, Brahme muhurte uttishte swasto rakshartham ayushaha. So Brahme muhurta, that is studying the shlokas in that time, that will be a benefit for you. So studying Ayurveda or Sanskrit shlokas in the early morning time is always good. And repeated study improves the pronunciation and also improves your memory. Note down important points as short notes for the further preparation. In Sanskrit, importance of Maheshwara Sutra. So, Maheshwara Sutra, rearrangement of alphabets by Acharya Panini. So, is the building block of grammar. So, 14 sutras are there, important sutras. You have to by heart it. With the sutras, with the help of the sutras, 14 sutras, we will be forming the pratyaharas. So studying Maheshwara Sutras will help you to form the pratyaharas. And also, from that you can answer the sandhi part and samjna prakarana part very well. So here a writing step to follow. Samjna prakarana, in samjna prakarana, sutra and its vritti and udaharanam, that is example. As we are solving the mathematical problem, that is step by step. So remembering 14 sutras and pratyaharas is important, as answering samjna prakarana and sandhi prakarana, that will be helpful. For example, sandhi, yen sandhi, if you take the example of yen sandhi, Iko Yanachi. So you can remember that 3 pratyaharas, ik pratyahara, yan pratyahara, and ach pratyahara. Iko Yanachi. Ekah sthane yan syat achi samhitayam vishaye. List of some important samjnas. Hrasva dirgha pluta samjna, udatta anudatta svarita samjna, it samjna, lopa, then pratyahara, savarna samjna, guna samjna, vruddhi, anunasika, samyoga, samhita, pragrihya, and T. So making list of these samjnas, making points will be easy, and also easily you can remember while writing the exam. Next, charts and points. To remember the utpatti sthanas, utpatti sthanani, prayatna bheda. So prayatnaha yatnodvida, abhyantaraha bakhyaha. Abhyantara prayatnaha, bakhya prayatnaha. So making chart, the chart and points will be useful for memorizing the content and also easy reproduction of the same in the examination. Utpatti sthanani can see in the PPT. Akuha visarjaniyanam kantha, ichveshanam taluhu, rutarashanam murdha, ratilasanam dantaha, upapadmaniyanam oshtau, nyamanganananam nasika, edaitoho kanthatalu, odautoho kantostham, vakarasya dantostham, jihvamuliyasya jihvamulam, nasika anuswarasya. How to remember the examples? So with this verse, you can remember the karakas. Karta karma cha karanam sampradanam tathaiva cha apadanadhikaranam ityahuhu karakani shat. Kartrakarakam, karmakarakam. So like that, easily you can remember the karakas. Below that, you can see the example. Ayodhyayaha Raja Gam Hastena Vipraya Gostat Gangatire Dadati. This is the one example. If you remember this one example, in one example, all the karaka vibhaktis are covered. See the sentence, Ayodhyayah Raja Gam Hastena Vipraya Gostat Ganga Tire Dadati. So here all the Karaka Vibhaktis are covered in this sentence. Shabdarupa. So in this verse, Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Abhita Nisha Charachamo Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramat Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavato Me Bho Rama Mamuddara. So in this verse, see the Rama Shabda Rupas. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje. Ramaha, Ramam, Ramena, Ramaya, Ramat, Ramasya, Rame, Bho Rama, He Rama. So you can see the Shabda Rupa, Prathama Vibhakti to Saptami Vibhakti and Sambhodhana. So with this shloka, you can explain, if you remember this shloka or verse, you can write the whole Rama Shabda. Next is how to present. So highlight the points or subhashitas or sutras. Subhashita, you can see Sadhya Palate Gandharvam Masamekam Puranakam Vedaha Palanti Kaleshu Jyotir Vaidyo Nirantaram. So highlight the points or subhashitas or sutras. And write in Sanskrit, means Sanskrit term. Wherever possible, write Sanskrit terms in the answer sheet. Next, you can see there Akaranta Pullinga Deva Shabda, one example for Shabda Rupa. Vibhakti Vachanam, Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bhuvachanam, Prathama to Saptami Vibhakti, and at last Sambhodhana. Pat Dhatu, Parasmai Padi Rupa, Lat Lakara, Vartamana Kalaha, Prathama Purusha, Madhyama Purushaha, Uttama Purushaha, Vachanani. So like this, present your answer very neatly. So here you can see the answer sheets, two different answer sheets. In the first one, only a few points have written. In the second one, you can see clearly the sutra, then vritti, then example, explanation and example. Writing pattern you can see in the second one. Samasah Panchada. So samasa types, Vishesha Samasah, Chaturvedaha, 4 types. Punaha Kevala Samasah. So you can make the chart of this as shown in the PPT. You can make use of charts. Samasah, Tatpurushaha, Dvandvaha, Bahubrehihi, Avyayi Bhavaha. And study Samasa along with its Lakshana. See the example there. Dvigu Samasah, Sankhya Purva Dviguho, and explanation and example. Next, Vaidyakiya Subhashita Sahitya. 10 chapters are there. So if we divide the 10 chapters of Vaidyakiya Subhashita Sahitya, first to fourth chapter, history of Ayurveda. Next, 5th to 7th chapter, basics of Ayurveda. And the last 8th, 9th, 10th chapters, general Ayurveda topics. So if we divide and study like this, it will be easy to remember the Subhashitas. And writing Vaidyakiya Subhashita Sahitya. First is introduction. Give small introduction about the chapter which you are going to write. Then Subhashitas, one by one, important Subhashitas and its explanation. So small introduction about the topic, then explain with important Subhashitas. For example, Jalavijnanam, their importance of water, source of water, methods of collecting and preservation, and importance of Antariksha Udaka. Next we will say Granthadhyayana Kramaha. So here steps to follow. First is Pada Vibhagaha. From Granthadhyayana Kramaha, first is Pada Vibhagaha. You have to split the given sentence. Then Arthanmaya, Bhavanvadaha and Vyakarana Visheshaha. First Pada Vibhagaha, Arthanmaya and its meaning. Then Bhavanvadaha, total meaning of that. And Vyakarana Visheshaha, grammar parts related to that. Sandhi, Samasa, Avyaya, then Lakara Rupas, Dhatu Rupas. Next, the 3 steps followed to explain the Subhashitas. Here also, Padavibhagaha, Anvayaha, Bhavarthaha. One example you can see in the PPT. Next is Panchatantra. So easily can score 10 marks here. Steps is title of the story, then shlokas, and writing moral shloka. It's very, very important. So one of the easy way you can remember the story with the help of pictures. Easily can remember the incidents of the story. So here explanation of the moral of the story is very, very important. Next, we'll see about short notes. So here the shlokas, what you are studying in Subhashita Sahitya or in other text, will be helpful to answer the short note questions. For example, Ajirne Bheshajam Vari. So Subhashita, we can remember from Jalavijnaniyam, Ajirne Bheshajam Vari, Jirne Vari Balapradam. Bhojane Amritam Vari, Bhojanante Vishapradam. So studying the shlokas will help you to write the short notes also. So I want to conclude my session with these verses of Sanskrit. Kakah chesta bakah dhyanam shvana nidra tathaiva cha alpahari grihatyagi vidyarthi panchalakshanam. Students should be alert like a crow. Kakachesta bakadhyanam. Have concentration like a crane. Bakaha. Shvana nidra tathaivacha. And sleep like that of a dog. Wakes up even at slightest noise. Alpahari grihatyagi. And should eat neither less nor more. Grihatyagi vidyarthi panchalakshanam. Should stay away from emotional attachments. One more verse. Udyamena hi siddhyanti karyani na manorathaihi nahi suptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe mrigaha. So works get accomplished by putting the effort and not by the mere wishful thinking. Deer, do not enter a sleeping lion's mouth. So nothing is impossible. Effort is always needed with great efforts. So with great efforts, one can success in life. I wish all the best for all the students for their exams.